So, you want to become a judge, or at least learn more about them? I think I can help you. Hello, my name is Max, and today I will be the Palebird. This is about DEGENESIS, a post-apocalyptic tabletop role-playing game, and a skirmish clan wars game. Very excited. If you'd like to learn more about the world, I would highly suggest you go over to their website, as there is just so much there that I myself cannot sufficiently simplify. The world as we know it is gone. Humanity survived dozens of grisly generations, struggling for a better life amidst the end of Earth's civilizations. Various groups of people have carved themselves out a place and a purpose within this blasted heath, and it's not going to get any easier. In the world of DEGENESIS Rebirth, there are organizations and societal structures that have found themselves in positions of power and influence across various locales. This video series will give a basic overview of the world through the eyes of the 13 cults, hopefully giving you a better understanding of a cult, maybe even a few ideas for a character or NPC of your own. Today, it is the judges. And who are you? I am Advocate, Protector, Palebird. I'm here to keep you in line, honest. Pretend I'm not here. Okay. When I first started playing and GMing for DEGENESIS, I made the mistake of trying to explain judges as dread, or modern-day police officers, or American Wild West marshals, perpetrators of frontier justice, or paladins. It's much more than that, by bunches. Life is heavy, and it is going to stay that way. Judges represent the heavy hand of peace, those whose cult sacrifices to ensure that society can flourish, the dichotomy of chaos and order, freedom and security. The judge must balance this. Too much of one is tyranny, where civilization cannot flourish. Too much of the other is a complete lack of societal duty, each man for himself, each woman alone in the world. The law of the strongest reigns supreme. We must make them follow our law, so we must be the strongest. Depending on where you may travel, you will find judges. Their domain is the protectorate. Parts of Franca, parts of Borca, but that is not the extent of their influence or renown. Judges act as arbiters. Clanners hear tales and trust that they are true. I've seen one in the Balkan, a diplomat to a voivode. I've seen one in Poland, a witness brought in by the Spital to Danzig, along with a platoon of Spitalians. I've seen one in Pergar to study architecture in Syracuse for Arcot himself. I've seen one in Hispania. She didn't look like one, but she talked like a judge. Where there are people, there are judges, in either cult or clanner form, enforcing peace, working for the betterment of all, and establishing civilization. I don't know about Africa, or how they feel about someone bringing civilization to the richest land on Earth, but maybe. With the wealth I've seen in the Ambassador Quarter, they could benefit with some communal humility. We know what the world once was. We know they're Latin, but it requires civilization to eke out more of an existence than just crawling through the mud, not being able to pass anything down. The Anabaptists would force an afterlife on you. The extinct exalters would have made you forget every part of your own culture. Africa, they would enslave you, either literally or through contract. All we ask is that you obey our laws and pay your taxes. The laws will change. We also need you to listen to the proclaimers in the streets. Make sure you're up on new changes, any events, and if you are able to receive deductions due to citizenship, enticing citizenship a little bit more. No cult or administration has the same experience with building civilization out of dust, governing it with wisdom across centuries, and withstanding threats from inside and without. This may be the newest cult, a medium and a balancer of all others. The doctors would become autocrats if they could. The apocalyptics would create a land of banditry and burn sickness. Chroniclers couldn't care less about the personal endeavors of others. They would form something utilitarian and soulless gray. Scrappers would refuse to cooperate with one another unless it is in the direst of instances. Anabaptists, charitable as they are, it comes with a price. But working together, we can wage war, bleed, and succeed side by side. Bassam, the Rebel, Siege are shining examples of this. Judges may be uncompromising, unforgiving, and a stickler for the letter of the law, but there is good that comes from that. And if the individual suffers unjustly, well, the advocates will look into the flaws and find the truth, and the case will have a precedent remedy. Don't overlook this. The individual must be able to bend so that society as a whole can be steeled.
Oh, true.
Tell me, when you're talking to someone, where do you look? Because look into their eyes when you're speaking to them. They can feel your gaze. They cannot see your soul. Glasses, goggles conceal your identity so you may memorize theirs. Keep your eyes to the sky. Dust devils, thunderstorms, carrion birds. May make the most opportune moment to conduct a raid. And the scarf will save your lungs for the real cardio. The hat, one, it's distinctive. We do not make these out of straw. Criminals have been squinting and straining their gaze against the sun. We don't feel that. Even looking from a place of shade to a place brightly lit will give you the extra advantage of milliseconds. Caput quod gerit coranum grave est.
Capita and geretis for plural.
Unwelcome and unhelpful interjections, Advocate Palidus Avis.
Awem is accusative.
The job of a judge is complex. It requires that balance we were talking about. So, law. Infidelity. Consenting adults don't matter, and if he likes being cuckolded, good for him. But if we see beaten spouses or a murdered libertine, let's nip that in the bud. Keep it under covers. The Jehamedans will feel safer about their family's honor. Drink doesn't matter. Drunkenness, however. You best shut your friend up before he receives some free dental work. Implement a curfew. Sober up, don't stay out too long after dark. Burn. Well, some Italians hate it, Anabaptists too, and it causes more problems than good. We'll concur that the burners are irredeemable. Do you know why an assault on a chronicler holds a higher punishment? 1, they're harmless. 2, because they are necessary for the protectorate to survive. The perpetrator has proven themselves a little less so. Laws are in place for a reason. If they become unreasonable, then they must change. Do not bicker between judges in front of other clanners or other cults. Leave the debating to the senators and the diplomats. You'll look weak and unsure in front of the wrong audience. Don't pursue theft when a murderer is out on the loose. If you catch the apple picker later, grand, the orchard will survive. If the murderer takes another life, that will not grow back come summer. Do not push a witness to where they'll clam up. Carrot before the stick. It's not a good judge, bad judge thing. It's knowing when to say what, know when to be subtle, when to be bumbling even, maybe pretending that you know more than you do. Let them stand in uncomfortable silence before you pull out the shackles. And by gods, do not kill yourself. If you know the perp's face, where they live, and it's just you, rally a posse. If you can use a day to get back up where there will be no downside, do it. The chase may last another week, but be strategic. Do not waste yourself on a scrapper, whose marvel will punch holes straight through your coat. You'll get them when they're drunk. Do not beat your horse into exhaustion when a trot will get you to gestation just fine by the end of day. Civilization is the long game. Law takes a while, but it is just. Truth, justice, and equity is a gift. Only those really deserving of it will appreciate it. Not every clan or culture is worthy. Bar, bar, bar. So you must appreciate when to bring the hammer down. Do not tarnish the protectorate's name by swinging this thing around haphazardly. The protectorate needs you fully. No half-asses in the side saddle. No good judge isn't bow-legged. No judge does well without some meat on those bones. Any good judge does not make exceptions. Steel your mind and wield steel in your hands. What started as vigilantes roaming the countryside turned into connections being built. Judges leading judges, recorders, those who dedicate themselves to the judges, and we cannot forget why the Steelmasters live in their monolith.
And their families and their crimes.
This bureaucracy is what a civilization comes to be. We don't all have chronicler radios in our pockets. We don't have the green valleys and personal gardens to attend to. What we have is the black lung, and we have made it prosperous. The great back and forth of advocates and their arbiters and commissioners, and then the protectors and their namesake, and the executioners are all steps upward in the ladder of civilization. The Senate flows back and forth from advocate to protector wings having the upper hand. The mantle of the Supreme Judge is also being handed across these lines. This cult are the scions of those who have turned their frustrations of the world into justice. They've been reinforced and then curbed by clans that we ally ourselves with. We are emplaced. Judges cannot make grand pilgrimages like the Anabaptists, or lift up and carry the same laws elsewhere like Mohammedans, or Spitalians for that matter. We are rooted. This life, these rules, are to fight the fact that nothing is guaranteed. Villains rise because those with morals do not doggedly run down that son of a bitch and deliver justice. The iron fist of law is necessary. When you were fighting cannibals, those who burn others at the stake, those who, without any direction, choose violence, I do not give a damn what afterlife you believe in, what your fertility rights are, but if you're my town, you're going to play nice. It will differ between each cult, but for judges, this cult is precious. Continued on through mentorship and those who need mentors. Quite similar to scrappers and their almost familial structures. Literacy is a requirement. I do not trust any judge who does not know the difference between proscribe and prescribe, infer and imply, emigrate or immigrate. We do not dumb down the codex so that less meritorious figures wield the hammer. But that does mean that we are fewer. Judges are not arbitrary pigs or drifting lawsmen. We are not tyrant sledgers or one-dimensional, lawful, stupid, oathed paladins whose parents are dead. We're human. When we look at the judge's rank tree, it is useful to reiterate that these are not levels, or goals that every player or NPC will strive to achieve. Think of them as a totem pole of power.
And legal terms.
It will differ between each cult, but for judges, this tree represents the two ways, each with offshoots, of being a judge. Who you have to answer to, who has been lauded as a hero of the protectorate, and who has the power of veto. This rank tree is heavily tied to one's connections within the protectorate. If a protector ignores an advocate and takes a life that said advocate disputed the punishment over, the wrath of the high judges will abound. Any connections built by the protector will be in jeopardy, and the righteous hammer will have a not-so-flattering article on said protector. Respect the veto. You'll only move up if you please your betters. Or take the reins and force yourself into a position of righteousness that does not need anyone else to vouch for you. That position, however, has few allies. All vagrants will do something. Vagrants will become something. Many city judges will become protectors. Some advocates, arbiters, a few protectors, executioners. Directly upward is the direction. It's only the outliers that become assessors or black judges, working over the heads of state or taking a big step into vigilantism. In truth, age doesn't matter. Experience does. You may be a young high judge, you better have been lauded at every turn. Gender neither, though chauvinism does prevail in the ranks. How do you battle that amongst your fellow judges? And a family name too can matter. An advocate or an arbiter without connections is a very pretty and learned mouthpiece. Little else. The most important thing is your criminal record and resume. The path of a protector starts the same as an advocate. You are a mentee, a vagrant, taught in the tutoring halls or out in the Black Lung, and then you gather experience as a city judge. Most city judges walk around carrying the hammer, which in the hands of a protector would be mountains more lethal. They exercise the office. They should not need to use the hammer as a weapon, only as a symbol. A city judge is not sent out to conquer, so cut your teeth by dyeing the lips of a brainy snake oil salesman, mediating land disputes between providers, helping a Stukov elder through the forecourt, untrampled. Take it easy. The best teacher is teaching yourself. Find a vagrant. Contemplate what you still need to know. That and walking the streets of the many protectorate's domains. Then you wield a hammer with force. A protector passes judgments, investigating the protectorate's borders and fighting in the front lines. You must be fit, be trusted by your fellow judges. Off into the dust you shall go. Protectors sometimes find it hard to wrestle with wrongdoers who escape. An arbiter puts a pause on a capital punishment, or a senator starts taking bribes. Put down the hammer and take out something more precise. take the law into their own hands. There's some that do.
What?
And then you answer only to one senator. The executioner organizes, cuts the Gordian knot of conspiracies, executes the condemned, and executes plans.
When it comes to the advocacy, it is much more cerebral. Not only must you know the laws, but the exceptions, the precedents, the current contentions and cases. A good advocate is experienced somewhat. They've gone into black lung. They'll know that they need a gun to protect themselves while exercising the will and asking questions and witness statements, thus aiding the judges all at once. Arbiters are the experts here. Advocates travel to others. Arbiters have guests come to them and beseech their help. An expert in everything law and moral, they have sway with the houses. If you're friendly with the house, an arbiter might put you on the top of their list. Then, the assessors and commissioners are judges who judge protectors. Protectors stick together for good or ill, but an assessor must find and protect a witness, maybe to sift through judges to see who stepped out of line. And then a commissioner may make them a proclaimer or, pull strings and send them elsewhere. A commissioner is a strategist who unravels syndicates, uprisings, coups. Part spy master, part detective agency. A commissioner is the brains and the strings, the assessors the eyes and ears.
Oops. High judges, each sponsored by a senator, and the scrupulous eyes of the Hall of Judgment are laid upon you, and every detail of your life will be laid bare. There, infallibly, they go out and command armies. They are UPTOWN's arm, playing the grand dance of the courtier. High judges enact the will of the Hall of Judgment, the decisions made there, the will of each senator, tasked with propaganda, the front lines, diplomacy, and whatever the heck is going down in Tech Central. 16 members, 8 on one side, 8 on the other, advocates and protectors, in all their glory, bickering and deciding who gets to do what, where the high judiciary's attention goes, what neighborhoods need to be changed, what tariffs change for citizens, what to do with liqua, what to do with siege, what news have you heard from Toulon? In a life literally above in scope and altitude, those who work in UPTOWN as senators must be exceptional with words, connections, and schemes, straight up Machiavellian. A judge decides, but a judge also arbitrates. The protectorate is not a dictatorship, but an oligarchical Senate-headed council mediated by an elected member of their circle, a supreme judge. Serving as both the interior and exterior head of state, the supreme judge reigns. There have been 24 supreme judges in recorded history. Each served an average of 7 3/4 of a year in service of the protectorate. Arcot being the exception, having served a long history of 40.
3 killed one another, 1 executed, 1 exiled, 7 in the line of duty. The rest succumbed to age, disease, or mysterious other circumstances.
The role of the supreme judge is fraught with complexity. Only the most moral and upright characters who represent righteousness, truth, progress, and civilization become one. The criticism and scrutiny from those before arise and intensify tenfold. Once a supreme judge passes, and their face is immortalized in stone, there's a great review of the codex that they have accrued, what needs to be tried again. Arcot's codex is large, heavily tested, each precedent is written for all judges to read, and he is responsible for the biggest changes in the protectorate, prior to his career as a supreme judge and when he assumed the mantle. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. What needs to happen for a supreme judge to sleep soundly? Do you think a person with that power is safe from temptation? How does a single figure truly impact the protectorate? What whims does the Senate allow? This responsibility, this weight, judges need a strong back, soul, and vision. Life is heavy, and you will need strength to lift wherever you go.
But
Protector Gracia is in charge of a lot of jurymen and 2 vagrants. The Eastern Front needs more judges, but someone still needs to watch over the newly acquired territory in Franca. Many died for this. And we need a lot of new citizens, and lots of new judges. These Francans have a different deal about them. They need some Borcan direction.
the Office of Certification needs someone to hunt down counterfeits. Often it's protectors who find the counterfeiters, but we need to figure out who has been supplying said counterfeits Certifications, citizenship papers, maybe drafts.
Stand still.
Relieve your conscience, report treason. It wasn't you who committed the crime, it was unknowingly that you committed the crime. It was the counterfeiter who did this. So, Crumb gives out assurances, resources out of House Winder, whatever that's worth. Ask questions, pique interests, work among the people. The best job in Justitian is an assessor. You can talk to anyone, and no one wants to get too close. Look through charts and ledgers. If people know something is up, they'll often open up. Cornflower asks questions about their kids. What troubles them? She'll confide a secret within the person she's asking. And then they'll tell her what she wants to know. Her name means hope. She hopes you'll do the right thing.
The cabinet of protectors and all the high judges underneath them are single-minded, infuriatingly so. Senator Sampson has been trying this political game for a while, and each other senator has been in the pocket of Senator Rutger, that any independent movement that Sampson makes has little to no support. The high judge that Sampson paraded and vouched for looks up to Rutger more than Sampson himself. And the senator's beginning to be too old for this drivel. His chains of command have been impeccable. Everything has been delegated perfectly. His parties are always lavish. He has connections to every part in the city, and every city in the protectorate. He's one of the most popular senators with the other cults, Spitalians, Jehemins, and even chroniclers. He sees how Rutger looks at generation. The old wolf has a mean side-eye, and an old Gendo can still learn tricks. Sampson will turn his focus with the omniscient. He missed the hammer. People would look at him with admiration and respect. Now they look at him like he is everyone else. The baker on the corner doesn't know that the rooster eats his sandwiches on stakeouts. The magpie he regulars keeps counting his scars. She asks about each one, and he keeps his boring story straight. That scrapper kid who found him one day with a bullet in his guts, too kind. That kid, too naive. Good thing he went elsewhere. He knew too much, and he probably could have picked Rooster out of a crowd. The rooster misses the hammer. He uses a crowbar instead to break fingers, and gets answers all the same. Ugh. Some people are judges because that is their will, and they have a proclivity for justice. Their desire burns brightly. Many are born into being a judge. The advocate families expect much from you. Or maybe your uncle was a protector. While others still are hoisted into the hammer, steady pay, power, food, and protection from other cults. And others more become judges because there is no option left, and it is punish or be punished. Spitalians will butt heads on law and precedent. Those with faith will claim that it surpasses our secular reason. New Libyans will erode the civilization so carefully cultivated and campaigned for. Even chroniclers, their secrets, are they for the protectorate, or is the protectorate for them?
Yeah, but
yes.
chroniclers...
No, I understand, but still.
Allies. Now he's gonna do poetry.
Cults, clanners, and different cultures will clash, cry at being criticized and commanded, complain that you can't castigate them for their customs. But crap, if they crave to crawl in clay, cover their callow character and cultivated clothes with crack-brained crud, and conduct combat like quarrelsome kids, then condemn them. Give them cause to recalculate their craves. Correct the cluelessness that they have, and if they are non-compos, cannibal, or act the chronic crook, then crush that coward into a colorless cadaver, cremate their criminal corpse, and clean the country of that chronicle of crime. First take. Remember, justice is the only option. At the end of the day, after a long day of peacekeeping, sifting through files and accounts, or patrolling the Black Lung, it would be rare for a judge to refuse libations, make love, or maybe even take something from the cataloged evidence locker.
Cataloged evidence?
So, read, write, conceal your identity. A good marksman can fire 3 shots in a minute. Keep your head on a swivel. Et aspera ad astra. Whether it's for your new character, or a campaign, or even just a thought experiment. I hope that we have set a frame of mind, establishing and then destroying what it means to be a judge. I know this was a lot, so take your time, and if you want to read directly from the source, I highly suggest it. Primal Punk and then Catharsis, that is usually the way to go. And if you're being really brave, Jehemed's Trilogy. I suggest it 100%, but I'll be perfectly honest, judges aren't all that present. There are some, actually, there's very good evidence of the political weight that Justitian pulls, but judges specifically, not so much. Now, the Righteous Fist and Moloch. You will have to wade through spoilers, but man, Moloch has a great section of judges, and it will be definitely a good source book, especially on how to play an advocate. It's all free, but if you want to focus on judges right now, I've got a couple of suggestions down below. Can help you get in the mood, see what different types of judges are, what their sins are, you know. I have a few recommendations, and it's harder than I'd wish to give good succinct of how to be an advocate. Wortman and Advocate Masek are great examples of this, but I would want to keep it from becoming spoiler-free. I want a GM to then help their players and give the players more opportunities to do exactly that. It's not easy. You'll have to do some lecturing. So the judges section of Moloch is a must. The Office of Hygienics, certification, locality. It's important for a judge to have the knowledge of how paperwork and advocacy works. It's not glorious, it's not sexy, glamorous, or even exciting, but a good advocate or assessor makes the judges whole. I highly suggest Homeland. Yeah, I have more questions for you. See you in UPTOWN. There's also a story in The Righteous Fist about a judge, like pre and post the destruction of Arcot's statue, that I really suggest. So keep in mind, for judges, but in all things, there are hearts with hope still beating, waiting for footsteps that might not come, born with nothing, just a weight to carry through life and the journey they are on. I am just a son, a brother, a father, and a friend. No more, not any less. I am just another man, still fighting. But I wouldn't be here if I wasn't taught that honor never dies. This has been the Palebirds. We will see you later. I hope you have an excellent day. Don't get sunburned.